All right, I'm gonna keep running. So with the last video, what I was going to enunciate is that I appreciate a lot of life. The most significant improvement and also appreciable development of human beings, but also life, is within the realm of jumping. So you can say that the progression of a butterfly, it is I don't think it's linear from a caterpillar to a butterfly. I wouldn't view that as linear, and I think that we're exactly confounded and limited when we appreciate something in linear terms, even the development of a caterpillar to a butterfly. But I would uh, appreciate that it is cyclical, and that the development of a caterpillar would abide within, be attended and prompted within, and inform and lead up to an expression of cycles. There'd be dynamic cycles in nature and environment, that some that we can perceive, such as the changing the cycle of night and day, hot and cold season. But then there'd be finer cycles within that, and a lot of it we couldn't perceive with our what we appreciate as our natural apparatus under natural under mundane normal circumstances, even with the assistance of the enhancement of scientific apparatus for increasing the range of perception, such as microscopes, telescopes, and what have you. I think that there are dynamics, especially as attraction and repulsion, that inform a lot of life, from romance to chemistry and so forth, and what you could maybe say that all fields would be somehow implicated in romance, in romance, attraction, repulsion, whether you're speaking in terms of art and the humanities, or even strict objective science, where objective might actually be an oxymoron within one word, because I don't know that there's anything objective about anything. But there's still value in the approach of science, in that it adheres to agreed upon, recognizable information units that be facts. There's value in that. But all I meant to say is that the appearance of a butterfly would be attended within cycles, in the deeper of which I don't think we can perceive under the range of our normal perception, even with the enhancement of a scientific apparatus, and maybe even with the enhancement of entheogens, that's plant, animal, and maybe mineral substances that alter the range of frequency of consciousness, and therefore perception. I think even within that, there'd be dynamics that are profound, because they might be beyond what we presently are aware of, or even with abide within as this dimension of existing, or these dimensions of existing, at least length, width, and height, and the perception of time. There's further degrees of experience that is within that and beyond that, and I think that that's part of how we actually can recognize the real cycles that would be involved in the development of a butterfly or anything. But when the butterfly appears, it's more so of a jump that has now happened, because when it's or even a bird flying, it's a jump at that point. It's within cycles, but it's a jump when it happens, and now that bird experiences itself different, and it's perceived by existence differently, and therefore it's imbued and endowed with different propensities for being perceived different, and perceiving itself being perceived different, and the confidence and strength that would come with that. The bird is now viable and can fly, partly because it's recognized to be able to fly. And I think that that's similar, like with content or anything, any skill, or appreciable development as human beings, is that it's a jump. So I've had experienced something of a jump with the channel, I think, and some of my facility with enunciating ideas with respect and tact, and having them land based on a few comments, and then in the response, that are intelligible and actionable. But then also by the traction of subscribers, specifically because for a long time I abided at a certain range of subscribers, and then within about 2 weeks or so, the subscribers would increase, and to me that's a more significant degree of metrics. And sometimes when I meet people that actually are interested in YouTube, like as a means of uploading content, or they engage with it deeply, they wouldn't ask me, like, and I mentioned that I do content on YouTube. They won't ask how many views do you have. They'll say, how many subscribers do you have, because a subscriber is a more accurate metric, or range indication of engagement, because a person would be interested to hear more than one video if they had subscribed. So I just want to say that I'm grateful for the subscription. And also I pointed out in another video that some of our attraction and some of our value in content creating can be, it can have a different traction and engagement based on the nature of the content and the purpose and the value of it, where something might have greater traction in terms of subscribers or views, and that might be within the nature of that content is that it lends itself to that type of traction, where other and that can also be like businesses, but then other ranges of traffic attraction or maybe product might be a little bit more niche, and because that's because it expresses a degree of nuance, and there can be that nuance can be grasped and can be appreciated as value, but it takes a certain amount of nuance and faith to come to the point of recognizing the value within nuance, and to actually be interested in it, and take value from it. It would actually take a significant degree of development to gain value from certain sources and products. And so that would be more of a niche at that point. And there's actually value in a niche audience, in a niche form of content, such as like maybe like being a connoisseur of wine or cigars. And I'm not promoting those, but I'm saying that like I've been interested in wine at different times, because I think that it's a high degree of a vintage, and it lends itself to certain dynamics in a person's personality if they actually engage, if they have enough living and experience around wine to respect it and benefit from it responsibly and enjoy it and understand it and appreciate it. That can actually inform a person's personality and their quality of being a person. I think wine, and there's distinctions within different forms of alcohol. Some alcohol is made out of like fruit, sugar, vegetable, and more things. So all the things that are presented as alcohol are not the same, or not constituted or created the same, but also they're a different experience, and they affect a person, and they can be engaged with differently. One that I would really stay away from is actually malt liquor, according to Dr. Umar Johnson, in testimony that an alcohol salesperson told him, is that malt liquor can do far more damage in a short range of time than other alcohol could do in a longer range of time, including your stronger spirits. But then wine can be very difficult on the digestive tract, because it is a little bit like acidic. So I don't know that wine is necessarily the best form of anything, but to respect it and engage with it. Sometimes you can actually just let it breathe in your environment. Like I'll let a cup of wine just sit next to my bed when I sleep. Sometimes not having the intention, or maybe even knowing if I want to drink or not, just letting it breathe there with me, or breathe in the fridge, because now it's actually exerting an influence. Anytime that alcohol is present, especially open, it's exerting an influence. But some things that are of vintage, like wine, you can actually enjoy it without drinking it. As strange as that would sound, as tasteful, as tasteless as that can sound, it can be enjoyed without consuming, but it informs us and influences us. But that would be something of vintage. And if you would go to like your higher end wine places, I'm aware of some wine that you could appreciate as outstanding, whether or not you had ever tasted wine before. It's simply outstanding. That'd be like the wine house. I didn't mean to make advertisement, but there is actually a wine house called, if anyone were interested, it's called Buena Vista. It's one of the oldest wine houses in California, and it's simply out. It's a little bit pricier, but it's simply outstanding. And you can take a distinction between that and a lot of wine. But a lot of wine, to enjoy it, it actually tastes like a little bit flat and chalky, and like flat, and it's actually better like that. I like wine that's kind of flat like that. I don't like things that are like kind of sharp and like acidic or fruity. I like it more flat, because it even stale. When you're letting wine age vintage, it's actually getting staler, but it's enjoyable as stale, because your finer taste, you live enough of life and you actually enjoy some of the rough stuff, some of the flat stuff, some of the indifferent stuff. It's strange like that. But you go to purchase stuff like that, and a lot of people wouldn't know what that is, or how that's any better or different than anything, or that it even exists. So you're within a smaller niche audience at some of your higher tiers of vintage and seasoning. But it might be the same with music or content or whatnot. Is that it's an intimate venue, a smaller venue, might actually be a deeper engagement and value that's being exchanged, because it is value being exchanged by expressing ideas and having them land. So I just want to make a couple more messages in this line of reasoning and inspiration.